Is this for real?
Yes, we're going live, sweetheart. Hold on.
Oh my God.
Yeah, just a minute, Linda. We're just getting ourselves ready here. So good to have you here, sweetheart. I'm glad you were able to get on. I don't know if you guys can see me because I can't see you right now, but that's all okay. So here we go.
You look cute there, Lil.
Oh, goody. So good to have you here, sweetheart. I'm glad you were able to get on.
Corner here.
Oh, goody. Okay, well, welcome.
Corner here.
Oh, goody. Why am I getting? Okay, well, welcome. Welcome, everybody. Why am I getting? Well, welcome. Welcome, everybody. Why am I getting? Well,
How did you get in?
welcome, everybody.
How did you get in?
Welcome, everybody.
How did you get in?
Welcome, everybody. This is not working, folks. Sorry. Let me stop this.
Maybe we should get off.
Sorry. Let me stop this.
Maybe we should get off.
Sorry.
No, you're okay, Conrad. And
Okay, no, it's not working for me, Tony. I really appreciate you. So I'm going to have to take a visit with you and you're going to show me how that works, because did you see all that feedback we were getting?
Yes, it's for the sound. Try to log in again. So sometimes what will happen, the mic will pick up a loop, and then it'll just continually go through the microphone and just loop it. You can try it again. And
no, love. I think for now because we really want to hear from you. But I'm really grateful that I tried it. I fell off the cliff. It's okay. I didn't hurt myself. So I'll do it another day. But in the meantime, Tony, welcome. And I want to let you know that Tony came to us by our good friend Ann Collins, who's right now in Florida. And I know that Ann's family is visiting her at this time, or I'm certain she'd be here because she loves Tony's work and has told me a little bit about it. And when I was pursuing it, I realized that Tony was actually educated similar in his work as I have been, but his formal education is in feng shui. And when he took that, it was the intention to share what he learned with others and to spread that prosperity. He's all about what I call manifesting the magic in you. And this pursuit led him to learn other crafts, such as vibrational healing, sound therapy, which we're going to talk about today, angel therapy, and mediumship, which he also studied with Doreen Virtue. So today he's going to talk about tuning fork, because he is the master at that here in Canada. So Tony, can you give us a little history of yourself, how you got so interested in tuning forks, how you got actually interested in mediumship and your work? Tell us about you, why you went into healing, and then of course we really want to know how to use those tuning forks.
Thank you, Lily. And again, thank you so much for inviting me. It was an honor to hear from you. I followed your work. My wife has followed you for years. Wow. And it just clicked. This is, we can do this. And it's great at this particular time when we're going through so much turmoil in our world, and we're always looking for different ways to connect, different ways to sort of cope with the stresses and that. What got me into what I do, it was kind of an interesting thing, as I used to have a moving business. And at one point we were really struggling in the early years, and we were actually spending more money than we were making. And I was the only one working, as my wife had decided to stay home with the children and get that working. And it was great. She was great at that. But it was a lot of pressure on me to be able to perform. And 1 week after another, 1 month after another, we were consistently losing money. And so I was at one point just at the end of my wits, at my rope, just to find a way to be able to take this business. And because I kept getting that it's going to do well in my mind and the way I was feeling, And I didn't know at the time it was intuitive. It was just, I was just a regular guy at that, and I just wanted to, make something of this business. And I came home for lunch in one of my work, and then just passing the living room, which is about 10 seconds, my wife was watching a show on Oprah, and there was a feng shui master from China there. And as I was walking through within those 10-second opening, passing the living room, all I heard was, "And this is how to make money." And I said, "Oh, what are you watching?" And he said, "Oh, this some guy from China. He's talking about an ancient art." And so that started me on that. And I watched the whole show, and I didn't really understand it. It was talking about the energies of the home, that our bodies and our home are the same thing, and that as we start to make our home more harmonious and more flowing, our lives will change. It's a little bit like a light switch, where if you want to turn the light on, you don't go where the light is, you go where the switch is. And so feng shui is a little bit like that. It's like the acupuncture of anything you want to get done. So when I started looking at this, I said, okay, I got to write this down. So I went over to chapters, and it was so funny because I walked in and I talked to one of the ladies. Is I'm looking for a book on Ben Gay. And she says, "On what?" I said, "Yeah, it's a feng shui. It's an art about Chinese." And she says, "Oh, sir, no, that's feng shui." And so she directed me to the place, and I knew nothing about this. So I bought a couple of books, mostly pictures, because I'm not much of a reader. And so I went through, and most of it was just cleaning the home, just a basic art of cleaning and water fountains and things. And I started implementing this in the home. And so it only said, just get 3 water fountains in various areas. I got 9. I always was overdoing everything, because that's usually my nature, is to try and do things over the top. And once we got everything done, I realized that things started changing. I mean, the amount of stuff I threw away, it was over 10,000 pounds of stuff I had in my home that was just lying around. The first time I ordered a dumpster to get rid of my stuff, they said you have to buy a 20 or rent a 20-foot. I said, "Oh God, I don't have that much stuff," but that's the smallest I could get. So the container came, and I filled it, and then they came again, and I filled it. And by the time we were done, we got rid of over 10,000 pounds of weight. When the last truck left off the property, I could breathe better. Mm. And now that has nothing to do with the home, but I felt that 10,000 pounds that the home was holding on to. And then it occurred to me that the body and the home are the same. When we do have a clean home, we walk different, we talk different. Even when our cars, go wash your car, you drive the car a little differently, because you're part of that energy. And we started implementing feng shui very aggressively in the early years. And there was one day when my wife came to me and she says, "Well, today's a special day." And I says, "Why?" "Because it's the first month we made money." And I said, "Oh," and I was so busy with the business, and I didn't really understand how to get more into this art. And she says, "Maybe it's the feng shui." And I says, "Oh yeah, that's the only thing we did different. Our advertising is different. All our human sort of things that we were doing was all identical, but we just did that one thing, and it basically doubled every 3 months. Within about 2 to 3 years, we were doing about 50,000 a month in sales, where compared to 1,500. So it just grew exponentially. It got to the point where the business outgrew me, and it was my sign that I needed to get out, because I could only take this business for as far as I could. So I sold it to somebody, and from that, this feng shui part of it, I figured, okay, well, now that I know a little bit about feng shui, I would like to do this for other people. But when you're learning feng shui and you're doing it in your own home, it's way different than if you're doing it for somebody else, because a whole whack of permission and the rituals you need to do it for someone else, because it's their sacred space. and you
Yes.
can't just walk in and start doing stuff. Okay, so I figured, okay, we'll get some formal training for this. There was one in New York, which was a nice close one. The others were right around the world, and there was one in China, but the airfare and everything was just it was just too much. But anyway, we chose the one in New York. Drove down. I went there the night before because it's roughly about a 2-year program, and it started at a hotel in Brooklyn. And I went there the night before, got checked into the hotel, and the conference room was downstairs. So I knew I could be there on time and so on. And when I walked in, the instructor said, "Well, good morning, Tony." And I said, "Well, how do you know my name? You have never met me." "Well, you're the only guy." There's 27 women coming. And right there, I figured, oh, this was like, keep in mind, this was like from an ex-mover now going into pretty much a female profession.
Right.
And I said, "Oh, I really got this wrong." And I told the instructor, I says, I don't know if I've done the right thing." She says, "You have. Spirit wants you here. There's a reason why you're here." And anyway, well, one thing led to another, and part of the course, we had to choose an elective, something that we can add on to the feng shui things that we were doing. And there was things like essential oils. And I didn't really want to do that. I mean, at the time, I realized I was with 27 other women, and they were doing all, and I needed something more masculine, I guess. In that time, I needed to find my masculinity. And there was several other ones that there was various ones. And then there was tuning forks came up.
Okay.
And I go, "Tuning forks, well, how do they work?" "Well, you get to wear a tool belt." I says, "I'm in." And I says, "By the way, do they do anything?" And that was my sort of ignorant part of me at the time. And it was interesting. He says, "Yeah, we're going to be going to lunch very soon. Before we go, I'm going to give you a quick tuning session." They had a couple of tuning forks, much like this, just regular ones that,
Yeah.
and they gave me a 5-minute tuning, and they just sort of hovered it over my head and down my body and so on, just very, very lightly and so on. And when we went for lunch, when I went out of the hotel to go down the street to a restaurant, I saw the most brilliant greens and blues, and my head was like conscious, but there was something going on. It was a little bit like I just woke up in Mexico or something, and I was really calm. And I says, "What is the story with these tuning forks?" And he says, "We'll give you the history of it." But that's what sort of introduced me to the tuning forks. And it was quite an interesting evolution, because from there, they said, "Well, we only have one home study tuning course that we brought with us." Nobody wanted to really do it. And I says, "Okay, I'll take it home." And then I was just on fire. The more I learned about these forks, they're ancient sounds, they're shock based, and they open up energies. They are sounds that your body used to experience at another time in your past lives. And the most prevalent sound is, of course, the Om. You've heard this in many meditation. We get the Om. Okay, well, that's thousands and thousands of years old. And I was looking for the origin of that particular sound, and what it came up to is many of the monks and the intuitive, they got this vibration in their voice through spirit, and they were the ones that knew that exact frequency, because you have to get the frequency pretty much bang on. In our scientific measurement, it has to be 136.1 hertz, which is vibrations per second. And to emulate that or to duplicate that it's next to impossible. It has to be bang on. And so these doctors at the time were able to mimic that sound through their voice from spirit. So they were connected. And
So
when
can I just stop you right there, because this is so interesting. I had wrote about that Om during the time of our daughter's death and my mother's death, and when Amanda gave birth was a month from each other. When my mom was dying, we heard the Om. And when Amanda was birthing, we heard the Om. that same frequency. So it's interesting to me that when you talk about the hertz and that the monks, but it really is an innate in us.
Yes. Yes.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. But
No, it's okay. I mean,
bring
it's
it-
interesting
yeah,
that you had mentioned, because that's my daughter. That was my daughter's name as well, Amanda. We called her Mandy.
Well, again, for people that are watching, I want to just bring up how I can't believe how connected you and I are. I'm realizing that now, because when you said
Yes.
the word tools, when I did Power Up Your Life, it was my husband, when I said, John, what can I give this to get the men involved? He said, well, what are the tools? And I thought, there it is, tools for intuitive living. And then you study
Yes.
with Doreen also. So
Yes.
it's interesting. It's not about you and I, but those that are listening, when spirit speaks to all of us at the same time is what's happening. We're all getting that message at the same time.
That's right.
It's up to us because of wherever we are at that given moment. And then with the star alignments, if we're going to pay attention to that. So
In other
it's
words, we're
interesting.
going to answer the call.
We're going to answer the call. So I'm
Yeah.
really going to want to look at your chart after, because I want to find out just that connection. So I'm sorry to interrupt, but again, to bring it into because you were talking about the hertz, so that we all carry that frequency in us is so important, I think. Yeah. So sorry, keep going.
No, it's okay. Absolutely. The ohm is very, very powerful. And
Yes.
when you look at the frequency, it happens to be the same vibration as the earth as it rotates around our axis, but it's 30 octaves higher. The ohm that you hear is basically brought down 30 octaves, over 30 octaves, so we can hear it. It is so high frequency, but it's the sound of the earth. And they have a tuning fork, which is an ohm, which is the exact frequency of the earth. I don't know if you can hear that.
Wow. Yeah.
But the beautiful part is when you have two of them, you can put it on your own ears, and it's just like this stereo effect, and it's beautiful. At the bottom of the fork, you can see there's a little, what we call a slider.
Yes.
And we can actually put that on the body. You could feel it, and you could slide that frequency right up the spine and bring in that energy. And usually within seconds, I see goosebumps on the client when we do that. It just, because they connect to the earth so strong and spirit so strong, and they're in the middle. And in a spark plug, that's the gap, is you're that light, you're that spark. And because you jump, and that's basically who we are. We connect heaven and earth together, and using that fork in a very nice way is just, it brings in, like you say, if we are hurting, it brings in that level of why did we get hurt, and not so much the why, but it's the fact that it had to happen. We had to be aware of it.
Yes.
And as soon as you're aware of the past hurt, we stop asking why me? Why did it happen to me? It's like I was a bystander, or I was involved in this, and not to take ownership of whatever the trauma was. And the forks actually have a very silent healing in that way, because they start opening up things, opening up your heart, opening up all these things. Most of the problems is that people are keeping it in. They're not releasing it.
Right.
And yoga works. There's singing bowls work, and this is just another tool. That's why what the tools that we use will basically help us along the way. But I've used these like thousands upon thousands of times. I'm at a point now where if I'm with a client and I don't have my tuning forks on me, my hands become my tuning forks, because it's part of me.
Yes.
So that comes with practice. And when you mentioned the mediumship, or when did I become intuitive?
Right.
The forks do that. I wasn't intuitive in the beginning, not at all. In fact, I don't know anyone that took longer to become, get with it or be able to connect as I did. My whole family, they caught it right away. My daughter, my son, my wife, they could hold a crystal in their hand, and they could say, "Oh, Dad, you should feel this. This feels like a milkshake," or "This feels really strong," or "This is really mild." I would have it in my hand and I'd feel nothing. It was just amazing. There's this one crystal called prehnite. And just a small piece of it, when I put it on in my wife's hand, she got a headache within 5 seconds. She had to take it out and just get away. Well, I had a necklace all day on it and I couldn't feel anything.
Yeah. So Tony, what we'd like to know then is when a client comes in with the tuning forks, and somebody may come in, they want to get their arm has been broken. Their heart has been broken. So are you using different modalities, different tuning forks, different vibrations on different clients, or are you using the same?
Depends on the client. In all the tunings I've ever done, it's always been different, and it changes with the same person, because when a person comes in, we do what we call a clearing tuning.
Okay.
And that just basically starts the process. If a person has never experienced yoga, they've never done any, they've never really worked on themselves, they're just now sort of starting. So we do a very gentle clearing, and it's a little bit like just clearing your home a little bit. And until you get to the part, okay, there's still a spot on the wall, there's still, then they come back and then we do some more fine tuning stuff. But in the beginning, we just want to clear some of the outward toxic energy that is around them, that they've been holding on to, not realizing that what they're holding on to is hurting them. And if they've been hurt in a relationship, or if they've been abused as a child and they're holding on to that for 50 years, that is a concern. And I think one of the things that Spirit wants to really show in this particular segment that I'm here is that most people, the misconception is they have to figure something out that is spiritually based. And it doesn't work.
It doesn't. It's like trying to ask me to give you a list of questions to ask you. It's not going to work.
No, exactly.
I'm organic. I'm not, those are issues of control.
Yes.
So it's like a client coming into you. If I have a headache, you're going to obviously use a different spoon or a different fork on me than if I was to see you regarding grief. Correct?
Actually, when a person comes in and they have a headache, usually I'll get the inkling that it is something else that's causing the headache.
Right.
So
Good.
I'll usually follow their energy more than whatever they're saying, because most people don't know what's happening to them. They know the symptoms.
Yeah.
They know they're not happy. Like I knew of somebody that they had absolutely everything they've ever wanted in life, but they were still unhappy. And when we got to it, it had nothing to do with this life. It was a past life thing. And I was getting that at the beginning. So there are different forks we use for that. And the forks are the same. It's just using them in a different way.
Okay.
And so I usually connect to their energy. Their energy has been with them far longer than I have. When we come in as children, we come in with a spiritual DNA, and that DNA has been with them the hundreds of lives that they've been through. And this is really the crux of the whole Ho'oponopono, is that the hundreds of lives you've been through is all about data. It's all coming in, and the good stuff's coming in, the bad stuff's coming in, whatever bad stuff, the things they've been through that they have not dealt with is coming in.
Right.
And they just don't know why they're unhappy. They just know they have to do something, but not sure what. And so they look at the human parts, and they always are left with more questions than answers, And so, so the tuning forks open those up. And sometimes we see dramatic difference in the first 1 or 2 sessions. And that's when it's sort of a caution, because as soon as things start really, really improving, I get a little more focused on that client, because they may not be ready for the incredible things that are about to happen. And so they'll make themselves like they used to be. One of the best examples I can show on that, we went into a homeless shelter once. We wanted to bring in a few tuning. I had some students that I had taught at that time, and we brought in about 2 or 3 tuners, and we had the homeless basically come and sit down, and we didn't know who they were, didn't matter. And as soon as we started with the tuning forks, they passed out. They were like out, sleeping. And when they woke up, they said, wow, what was that? I feel fantastic. And then there was this one lady that sat down, and we did a tuning fork, and she said, well, I don't think this is going to work for me because I'm deaf in one ear, because about 25 years ago, my boyfriend hit me so hard that I lost my hearing. You can only imagine what happened there. And I haven't been able to hear in that one. And in this one, I don't hear very much either. And then we started to explain to her that they're not forks for your ears, because this even works for babies, unborn babies. It works for deaf people. It works through distance healing. Somebody could be in Chicago, and I can tune them right now. They wouldn't hear the forks, but they would feel the energy, because that's what I'm sending. Right, so we started to say that. Anyway, about halfway through that tuning, the lady just started breaking down to cry. And my student came up to me and said, Tony, I think I did something wrong. She's crying. I think I must have hurt her. So we went over, and she basically said, for the first time in 25 years, I can now hear something in that ear. And no doctor has ever been able to do anything. All it was some energy wanted her to be at that time, you can only imagine that we were only there for like an hour on opposite days, and she's not there every day. So for her to be there at that time where we were at that time it's a synchronicity. She had to be there. So her hearing came back, and we thought this was amazing. And so we were sort of we knew these were powerful forks, but this was physical evidence of it. Yeah. A week later, we went back and we tried to find this lady, and she wasn't there. We asked the staff. She said, we haven't seen her in a week, so we don't know where she is. But 3 weeks later, we found out that she was so perplexed that her hearing came back, and that what she's going to do, because right now, at the time, she was still working through the trauma of that particular event with what happened, and holding all of it in after 25 years. And she manifested to go deaf again, and because she didn't want to hear anymore. So in other words, that was again more evidence that we have to be ready for the incredible stuff that's ready, because we can't hold it back and go back to where we were. And so when we do it, we also try now to make sure that is this really what you want? Because it's just going to be probably more than you might be ready for. And it's okay. All of it's okay. We do it in the pace that people can. But that's what these forks do. They open up, and it's just like a sponge. You start hearing those ancestral sounds that we don't hear. We don't hear, like, for instance, the 528 is the same vibration as love. Some people don't love themselves. Some people don't think that love is just a fantasy. They've been through one relationship after another. After their parents had the physical and mental abuse or whatever, they've gone to usually other relationships have also resulted in the same. Because when a person is afraid and they're vulnerable, that attracts a person that wants to do the opposite, control you, and they're perfectly fine with that. And if you're not loving yourself, so this is the same vibration as love. So I'm very careful how I use this, because we would think on the surface, yes, everybody needs love. But if you think love is hurtful, you're not going to want it. And so we do this at a distance. So I'll stand back like 8 feet and just tap it really gently. And I'll say, what color do you see if you have your eyes closed? And because you'll know, everybody, when you close your eyes, your body right away goes into sensory mode. Right. And when most people that close their eyes, they'll see black or gray. And then when we tap the fork like 8 feet away, do you see any color? No, it's still black. Oh, a little bit of green's coming in. And so that might be, and green is of course a heart chakra, and it's the same vibration as that. So when we see that, we know we're starting to get connected, but we're still very cautious in that, because we know that we can bring all this energy in, but are people ready for it? And as long as we look at it as a spiritual answer for a spiritual situation, then you'll get somewhere, but you can't get your mind in there.
Well, we always say in this group that we like to pray attention and pray intention. We pray intention.
Good.
So is it possible that we could pray intention now? And again, this is always organic in nature. And if you could use a couple of forks for us to hear while our eyes are closed. And then you will let us know when it's okay to open them. And then I will put, then we'll leave it for open questions, answers and questions, and see what people experienced. Are you open for that?
Yeah. Okay. I'm getting, I need 2 other forks.
Yeah, you go get your, everybody okay with that? Good. I'm going to go to gallery here. Gallery, so I can see you all. Hi, Jackie. Yeah, some more people. Hi, Sandy from Bali. Good to have you here. So we got New Brunswick, we got Bali, we got Ontario. Hi, Yvonne. I'm not sure who Yvonne is, but I'm really grateful that you're here today. Welcome. And we have Sylvie, and our other Sylvie had to leave, our stager. Hi, Anne. Sorry, happy to have you here. Oh, and Christine, I haven't met you yet, I don't think. Welcome. Welcome to Breakfast with Soul. And afterwards, from Ottawa, lovely, good. So we're making new friends again today. Soul companions. So after,
yeah, sorry.
Yeah, you're back, Tony. Sorry, sweetie, I don't see you here. Hold on.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you're ready, Tony, you just lead us into when you want us to close our eyes, and then you do your thing, and then we'll share afterwards.
Okay. I don't want you to go through a meditation.
No.
Just basically close your eyes.
Yep.
And when you do, you'll see probably black or gray.
Mhm.
And as I'm hitting the tuning forks, I just want you to notice color. And whatever color that comes up, follow that.
Okay.
So if as it gets lighter and lighter, because each of you have a certain purpose for being here or in a certain stage of your life. And when you close your eyes, just let your own energy guide you. If you're getting red, then follow the red. And I actually put yourself in that color. So now you're surrounded by red or yellow or whatever color that you're getting. And because over the last 15 minutes or so, I've been starting to clear some of you. And that's sometimes what happens is I'll start to yawn or whatever.
Okay.
And that sort of clears that. But as you hear the tuning forks, just take a deep breath in, breathe in that sound, okay? And then just notice what color comes up for you, okay? We can talk about that after.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, so just take a deep breath. May the power of this tuning give the souls that have connected to us a higher vibration than they're presently going through. Take a nice deep breath. clearing your throat. Don't hold back. Just do so. Ready?
Yes.
Open your eyes.
So Tony, we didn't hear, I don't know if anybody else did, but the meditation itself was, the energy was just guiding me to where I needed to go. So I'm going to get everybody to unmute. I'm just going to put this in gallery.
Sometimes what will happen is the microphone that I have, you'll hear the initial sound and then the vibration will lock itself out, but the energy's still there. So
Yeah, that's it. That's what I focused on, was I knew it was energy because I couldn't hear it. I couldn't, but if everybody could unmute, just put your hand up or raise the hand icon on the reactions. If you have questions that you would like for Tony at this time.
did anybody see any color?
Don't put your hand up.
Yes, Linda.
Yes.
Yes, Linda.
First red, then
Yes.
orange,
Red?
then orange, then yellow, and it stayed there. And then I could feel something vibrating at the solar plexus level and on the medial side, more on the right hand side, which is usually there's a little pain there comes in. So it was,
Well, Linda comes to us from Grand Falls, New Brunswick, but Linda has a healing table. And Linda, don't you use tuning forks?
no, but I kind of use my hands, and
Yes,
then
like
I use a crystal to
Oh, great. So good to have you both here today. I'm always excited to see you too. Anybody else want to share? Yes, Pat. Great shares. Okay, Pat, you're next.
It started out dark,
Mhm.
and then it went into a pink, and then it changed. There was some blue and like a lavender, and then what it did is it kind of swirled back and forth between those three colors.
Nice.
Mm.
So before we go on to a next question, is there anything you want to add to that, Tony?
Yes. When you first see dark, that is the present plane that you're in. That is the human part. And when the colors start coming in, or when the black turns to gray, it means the light is starting to come in. And then when the colors start coming in, it means you're slowly getting into that spirit realm. Okay. And that's what happens when you get various colors that you see, especially in the order that I think was Linda that mentioned it.
Yes.
You saw the red, orange, and then it stopped at the yellow.
Mm-hmm.
And all that's happening there is that energy is trying to get through, and it usually comes from your feet up. Most times it'll go from the head down towards the feet. But when you're clearing something, it'll go backwards. It'll go from your feet, then from your chakra, from your root chakra, then to your sacral, then to your soul, and it works its way up, because it has to go in that direction. Because when you're clearing something, you have to work it in reverse that way. If it goes as high as your solar plexus, all I was getting there, Linda, is to use your crystal and bring in the color yellow, and very gently bring in a color of a light green. So you want to get to that next heart chakra level. And so that same thing that you're doing, but are you also having some back issues? Because I was getting something going on with your back at your solar plex level in the back. You know what I mean? It's I don't know if you have any issues there, but there's something going on there. And that's usually connected to family. Unfortunately, sometimes family, there's things that we do, they might not approve of what we're doing. And so they're thinking of you maybe in sort of a negative way. So sometimes you'll feel that. Okay. And so it's all good. But yeah, you're doing great. But that's what that means. When you're bringing in those colors, you're getting into that realm. Did anybody stay black the whole time? It's okay to say it. It's if you had black the whole time.
Okay.
And so all that happened, that I didn't bring in a lot of different tools, but the black simply shows that it's like a washing machine. It takes a little bit more time to get in, but you'll start to see the black is not as black as it was when it started. When it started, you saw black, but maybe when it ended, it was more like charcoal gray.
Mm-hmm.
It's still sort of a black, but it's getting lighter. All that is that you're starting to see the light. So if we would have continued for another 5 minutes, you probably would have realized some color after. So it's all good. It's all good.
Tony,
The idea is to get lighter.
Yeah, before I go to Ronnie's question, though, I have a quick one. One of the things that we do is what we call chakra bypasses, right? So we get an idea, we speak it, we do it, but we didn't fall in love with it. Or we get an idea, we love it, we do it, but we never spoke about it. So there's always, like when we're putting things into action, there's sometimes can be what we call chakra bypasses. So in order for when we're co-creating with the universe on anything, whether it's baking a cake, going for a walk, or running a tea company, are you using a different, when you're doing a chakra bypass and you're getting in alignment, are there different forks that you would use for a different, you guys call chakras, I call planets? Would you be using, so you would use different ones, different
frequencies? Yes. Exactly. Like this red one has the frequency of 396. It's the root chakra. It's red, and it's mostly connected to anything to do with, of course, your lower extremities, the hips, legs, knees. A lot of knee issues I'm getting. The knees are connected energetically to trust. If you are right-handed and your left knee is bothering you, it means you don't trust yourself. If your right knee is bothering you, you don't trust other people. So even your body will give various indications on the different issues you may have. If somebody said something and did the exact opposite, then there's a sort of a distrust there. And if you don't forgive for a longer period of time, you'll have more and more issues with that part of the knee. And it'll start at the top where it'll just be a little uncomfortable. And it will be at a point where there's almost something in there. It's not like it's really hurting. You'll go to a doctor and they'll do x-rays and everything's fine because it's mostly energetic. But in time, it will manifest into something that they'll see on an x-ray. But in the beginning years or beginning stages, it'll just be something grabbing your knees that way. That's just an example. Then we have the orange fork, which is your sacral. And that's for childhood issues and so on. Yeah, and each one has a different thing. And there are planetary tuning forks as well. There is a Jupiter tuning fork. There's a Pluto. There's Earth, of course, is the Om. And there's Mercury, Venus, and so on.
Wonderful. So Rhonda, you have a question. Thank you, Tony.
Well, the colors that I had, I started with dark, and then there was a background of like a greeny turquoise, but it was filled with pink blotches. And then I get swatches of yellow across the top. And then that went to a purple, an indigo purple type color. And then it became in the shape of an eye is where it ended.
Beautiful.
So when that
Don't know what that
happens,
means, but
well, when that happens, it means that an eye is looking back at you. And when that happens, and it happens often to those that are really at that stage, you start asking it questions.
Yeah.
Like, who am I? Why am I here? And because the eye is looking at you, and when you're looking at an eye, it means something's looking back at you. And you could say who it is. I mean, it may be an ancestor, but most times it is you. You
oh
are
my gosh, it just got goosebumps everywhere.
You are looking at you.
Whew.
And if you look at the color of the eyes, it would be more than likely very similar to your own. If it is a different color, then that's another thing. But if you see an eye, then that means you're past that stage of the human part of it. That's all the filtering out of that stuff, and getting into that eye is oh my God, there's like 200 things you can do with that. What does that eye see in you? What does that eye see in this situation? I'm going through, let's say, a divorce, and you connect to that eye. What are you seeing about this divorce? And then it'll tell you messages. It could be something like, this was absolutely meant to be. It was never supposed to go the 9 yards. And this gives you peace, because when you can get answers outside of a human perspective and get something spiritual, that's going to be much more powerful, and you'll have years of healing that you won't have to go through because you're doing it yourself. And that's really what spirit wants. They want you to sort of interact with these, whatever that you're seeing. And the eye is beautiful. It's a great way to start asking questions.
Well, the eye was purple, beautifully shaped, perfectly. And yeah.
Then
Wow.
you start asking questions. Eventually, you'll see the eye move out a little bit, and it'll see things in a bigger perspective. But asking questions is what it wants you to do now. So you go right back to that stage, and the things that are going on that is most troubling for you, the most whatever you're going through, you start asking those very specific questions, and you will get answers that really, I don't believe, really. Then you see, you got to realize that when you get your mind to start giving you answers, your mind has to process it first. It has to be okay with your mind, and you'll understand it, and then it'll give you that message. So it won't really be a surprise. When you get an answer from spirit, most times it'll surprise you. It says, oh, really? I can't believe, almost like, I can't believe that. Like, that's where I am. I didn't realize I was that far. That, is from spirit, because your mind will never give you something it does not understand. So you bypass the mind, and that's really what the point is. And so whatever, in that 5 minutes, it was great that you got there. Good for you.
Well, thank you. Thank you. That's really inspiring and motivating me. Thank you.
Good. Some people will see animals. Some people will see just the different entities come to them because it is non-threatening. Especially if you've been through a really horrific time with an experience years ago, you're having a hard time, getting it out of your head, as they say, well, it's just bouncing around. There's no outlet for it to come out. So when you go into that realm with color, here it is, whether it's an animal or an eye, whatever it is, and you start saying, okay, how do I get past this? And it'll tell you, because the same trauma that is approaching you also possess the answers. But we want to stay away from the trauma, right? So we push it away. Yeah.
So what do I do from here then?
About what?
At this
though?
point, was this the first time you saw this eye?
Yes.
Okay. So from here, you just continue, because it's always been a belief of mine that if you're going into a certain area or a certain zone and it's working, to keep going, to keep going. So you're on a great path. So, and all you have to do is, when you're in a meditative state, you just say to yourself, the experience I got when I was on Lilly's show put me in that zone, because Spirit knows that time. There's no timeline. They understand experiences, and because they don't work on time or space. And I want to be there. And then they will take that space and put it in you. So the 5 minutes that it took here, you can do this in 5 seconds, just by putting it in. And there's the eye. Okay, it's purple. And then just start asking questions, because it's the questions that expand that understanding, because now you are asking. See, one of the things about feng shui is that you just can't go ahead and start moving energy around people's home. You have no permission. They're not asking you for anything. If I go into someone's home and I see, like for instance, if we're looking for a home and when we see the stairs facing the front door, I won't even go in the house. And I wouldn't even get that house if it was free, because I know what it does to my energy. But if I see that in a friend's home that just bought, I'm not allowed to say anything. I can't say anything. It's not my business. They're not asking me. So what do you think? I says, it's a beautiful home. That's all I could say, because I'm not being asked. But if they bought the home and didn't ask me, I still can't say anything, because now that they bought it through their own human decision. And it's not for me to veto that, to say that, oh yeah, I wouldn't have done that with the stairs. Then what have I done? I've just given them trauma. So you just have to be quiet. When you're asked at the right time, then it's a different story,
Okay, thank you so much.
Anybody else?
Tony, based on that example, though, if you're going into a home and you say, okay, I'm not going to purchase this home because of the way that my energy won't fit into that.
Yeah.
With the tools that you have with your tuning forks, don't you have that mastery then to change your energy vibration to walk in there and it's fine? I mean, isn't that what it's about?
Well, point, yes. But an architecture or an architect that designed the home,
right?
Because we've seen many cases where, let's say, an architect that's designing a home from scratch, let's say they're going through a divorce, a very nasty divorce. The energy of that will then be transformed and transmuted or going on to whatever they're drawing. And what we see is that architects that have gone through a divorce will have relationship breaking energies within the drawing of the home, because we work on floor plans in feng shui, and we see various things that other people will just see. Hey, it's a beautiful home. Feng shui isn't about luxury; it's about flow.
Right.
And I've seen $6 million homes that I would never buy. Beautiful, 6,500 square feet, indoor pool. I mean, it's beautiful, absolutely. But I would not buy it, because there's so many things in it that you can't really change, because the architect has embedded that into the drawings, and the builders built this physical architecture. So you're right. You could change your own image and you change your own energy, but you got to do it every day. And it's going to be exhausting to constantly try and align that divorce breaking energy to whatever that you're going through. One example was, I had this client that wanted to buy a home in Hawaii. And he says, Tony, this is a real steal. It's a $10 million home. It's going for about $4 to $5 million. and I want to scoop this up. It'd be a great investment. I think it'd be awesome for it. And so I said, well, okay, well, send me the floor plan and pictures or whatever. And he did. And I saw it right away. I says, no, I wouldn't buy this home. I said, do you love your wife? And he says, of course. I says, okay, don't buy this home then, because it has too many things that would go wrong. In the love section, each home is divided into 9 sections. You can look this up on Google. And there's a love section, a money section, health section. And in the love section of this home, which is on the right side at the very back, based on your front door, if you walk in your front door, if you go to the very right back corner of the home, it's like a tic-tac-toe. It would be the third one to the top, right? That's the love section of your home. And it was overlooking the ocean, which is beautiful. However, it was suspended over rocks, and it's love on the rocks, sort of the image. And I says, no, I says, you don't even take my word for it. Find out from the owner why they're selling, and then go back a couple of buyers before that, because I'm getting there's a pattern. And he says, oh, okay. And so he came back to me after about a few days, and he says, well, actually, the owner is moving because of a divorce. And I checked with the previous owners, and they moved in, and within 18 months they split. And it went, and it had the same pattern. So I says, that's just it. It's even if you're sleeping, there's that energy, especially if it's in the love section, and that's where your master bedroom is. It just makes it anyway. The architecture is very difficult to change in a home, but because it's aligned for something else. But if you go to a home that doesn't vibrate to my energy, it doesn't mean it's not a good home. Somebody that's in align with their own energy will actually prosper. But if I move into that home, because of my vibration, it would actually bring me down. And it's not to say that I'm any better than anybody else. It's just that the vibration's different, right?
The different frequencies.
Yeah, it's just different.
Excellent.
So it will amplify some people when they get to a certain point. Then it's time to move to a higher vibration home. That's more what you're trying to find. When Chinese individuals are looking for a home, they know they're not looking for a home, but a lifestyle. They're looking for patterns in the home that are conducive to where they want to be, not where they used to be. And they know this. And so that's why there are so many millionaires and people, very prosperous people in China, Hong Kong, and that know this. And we in North America, we buy a home for the 4 walls, as long as it has a nice bedroom and what it's overlooking. And most of them are good. But I've seen in the luxury homes that one of the things I've seen is the front stairs. They face the front door, and all that good, beautiful energy just flows out the front door. And it's hard to move that around because you have to do it almost by the hour. It's exhausting. So
yeah.
That's just one tip,
Thank you for that. Louise, did you have a question?
Well, just when we were talking about some of the colors, but it was a bit similar with Ronnie anyway, where is it okay if I ask the question now, or I didn't want to interrupt?
Please.
Okay. So when we first closed our eyes, I was seeing a bit of yellow orange, just some light coming in, but then as the tuning fork started, it actually went dark, and it went into more, I could describe as maroon, that kind of color. Stayed there for a little bit, and then it went green, violet, sort of violet white, but the white all on one side on the left. And then that green stayed in the middle, more like the shape of the eye, but just kind of an elongate green, and then the white, so I found it interesting when you said about the eye, and I was wondering also, because one of the things, Tony, when you said you're one of the people that, it was the hardest thing to get to be intuitive. I feel that way for me, because as much as I've done many things to expand on my intuition, I'm very much in the head and always have this loop going on in my head, like a song or this, that, and it's very distracting. And so I'm wondering if with using this technique, if when you say kind of go into it and ask a question, is that a way that I can sort of drop away from the chatter or the loop and just follow the color and ask it specific questions?
Absolutely, absolutely, yes. Because up to this point, humans have been asking other humans for advice, counseling, and whatever the dialogue would be. And now you're asking spirit, and that is exactly what spirit wants.
Right.
Is if you are going through that color, look at the color, embed yourself in it, and then ask a question. Then you'll start to get some way different answers that you would normally get. And that is a very strong form of self-healing when you start doing that, because now you're realizing that you have the power. You're just looking for your own key. Nobody else can find it for you. Even a spouse, it's inner work. It's all about the inner work. And when you start to ask questions like that, and you say, well, okay, what about if I ask this question? And if that means this, and you can get a whole story, but you have to keep asking. In other words, when people ask, they'll ask one question, like what happened in that relationship that broke up? And then we get something. Oh, really? And then they're only giving you maybe 5% of what really was going on, until we say, tell me more. What else happened? Is there anything else that I might need? Oh, then it just flows. The second and third reading from that is slow. But once spirit realizes that you're searching and digging and looking for those answers, well, then it just opens up, and you just start getting wicked answers. And that is I've seen a transformation where somebody has been in trauma for 10 years, and literally in 10 minutes, they've learned more in that 10 minutes. Because they're not asking other people, they're asking themselves, and you have the answer. It's just trying to find it. And so what I do, and the people that I train, because I train other tuning practitioners throughout the world in my classes, but that's what I train them is stop getting into the heads and try in the planning, and that's why I sort of promoted that, is that if you are planning everything, it really doesn't work. And I'm glad I got the answer from Lilly that don't plan or anything, just do your thing. And so I know I had the right group, but the idea is to ask yourself those questions, because the problem also possessed the questions. It's just not readily apparent. And instead of running from it, I would walk right through it. Just choose the biggest, baddest part of your life, look straight at it, and that says, I'm coming. God couldn't be here, so he sent me, sort of idea. And then you just sort of walk right through it. And that energy is scared. It is absolutely, because the only thing it has is your inner fear. That's it. That is, not that I'm discounting that, because that is a real thing. We do get scared and hesitant and not wanting to get into this stuff. But when you say, you know what, I like when Lilly says, I'm perfectly okay with the unknown. And if you're okay with not knowing what's on the other side, you're going to do great. You're going to do fine.
So allow ourselves to be humiliated.
Keep asking. Yeah, just keep asking. Yep. You're on the right track, Louise.
Yeah. And honey, before I come to you, Sylvie's had her hand up. So I'll go to Sylvie. But before Sylvie, before you unmute, I want to give a warm welcome to Hi Dai. Hi Dai is visiting us also from Bali today with Sandy. So good to see him again. So Sylvie, if you could unmute, my love, and ask your question, that would, or share whatever you wish. Thank you.
Yeah, I want to share what happened.
Yes.
I wrote it down because it was like dark.
Yeah.
It took a while. It came gray, but like in a circle. The gray was like a circle, and the gray was vibrating, pulsating. You know, it was kind of moving in a way, and it's still like that for a while. And I was trying to go through it, and I think I saw a little flash of white in a corner at one point, and but he stayed gray all the time. But I could see through that once or twice. It's like it was a face that wanted to come through also, but it never came through. Never came through. I don't know what it was. I have no clue. And it stayed gray like that. It was pulsating and like a gray circle with the different kind of gray. And at the end, before you said to come out of it, on the top it was coming blue, almost like this, like my shirt, and it was like a long way and a bit, I'm trying to remember, a bit of another color on the top, and it was kind of weird in a way. And had what we mentioned about fear, I was looking at it also and had some fear coming through also. I just want to say it had some fear also at one point until I passed the fear, but it was weird. I'm sorry if I say it like that, you know what I mean? So
Hey, can I share a little bit of what you were going through, Sylvie? What
yeah,
that
you
energy
can.
is telling me is it is so respectful. It felt your fear, and that's the biggest hesitation that a spirit has. It doesn't want to make you scared or fearful of it, so it will retreat. When you saw the face, next time when you see the face, just say, "Come on in."
Yeah, I was
If you
trying.
have a message for me, I'm willing to hear it. In other words, is waiting for an invitation. That's all I was waiting for. And I was getting
Okay.
was a male energy. So it's either a husband, grandfather, a brother, a male energy that wanted to come in to tell you something.
Okay.
And so has your husband or your brother passed away, or?
No, I have no husband. My father passed away. It will be 36 years in March, the 24th of March.
Okay. Okay. Have you ever had any contact with your father since then? Like in any spiritual way, or?
Yeah, a while, maybe I was in this house maybe 6 years ago. Yeah, I could see him. I'm sorry, like coming to the wall. But
Well, was this in your bedroom? Like, did he show up before you were sleeping or something?
it was in my bedroom. I can't remember the time. I'm sorry, I don't remember the time. It's a while
That
back.
time was, yeah, okay. But you were fearful then, and because you did say
Maybe.
what it was.
Yes
Yeah,
and no.
yeah. You were excited and fearful, and
Yeah.
but the idea spirit simply wants to come through. So they're very hesitant in coming through, that you can see them, because they can make themselves appear. But to most people, that would not be cool. For me, it's fine. That's what I go through. But
May I say something? I
yep.
took a class with Leander Duncan about, now it's about 15 years ago. And I used to see the spirit at the beginning. And now since about, I saw one at one point at a house of a friend after her husband died. It was about 11 years ago. And and at that time, I didn't want to be bothered. I said, go out, go away. I didn't want to be bothered that day. And but since then, I saw my dad to this house when I moved 6 years ago. And beside that, I don't see anything anymore. And I'm wondering why I don't see anything anymore, because I didn't mind seeing people. I didn't mind seeing them. You know what I mean? I was not, except I don't want to see the low entity, that out of my mind. I don't want to get out of there. I don't want to see you. I want to see the other people, but not the low entity, as they say. So I don't know.
Yeah, Sylvie, how would you know if it's a low energy or it's spirit trying to connect to you? What are ways that you have learned, even from human, that you only get good stuff? In other words,
not sure. When you're asking me the question right now, I'm not sure.
Okay, because your energy is overall pretty high in however way you're running your energy. So it's only when you're always fearful and always hesitating and always looking at sort of things that are negative that you'll attract more of that negative energy. But I'm not getting that with you at all. So you're only going to get good stuff. But just keep asking questions, like I told Louise or
Rondi.
Just to start to, and Ronnie, to start asking questions. Like when somebody comes, you can be very bold in saying, "Oh, I'm glad you came. Did you bring my gift?" Something like that, or what message did you come to me for? Why are you here? That kind of thing. It's because as soon as you start asking questions, then you get into a deeper realm, because now they have permission to disclose whatever they came for. That's simple truth, so they're not there to hurt or make, but if they know you're fearful, they won't really come often.
But I know when my dad show up, you know what I mean? I was not afraid, just show up, in the first thing I knew, it disappeared. It was so weird. And and also I have to say, when you did the black love, when you were talking about the eyes, I felt, when you mentioned it to Rondi, I felt, after that I was trying to remember in my mind, I felt it was an eye also. I didn't see the eye, but I felt there was an eye also, you know what I mean? So
Yes.
At what point?
Yeah, and that's very common. As soon as you see an eye, you know you're on a great white path.
I didn't see it, but I felt it.
That's fine, because that is still clairsentient. That still has a value. Whether you see it, hear it, you feel it, or it doesn't matter. It's all the same. If you feel that eye, then you go ahead and you start asking questions. You could just whisper it. You could just whisper it and then just wait for an answer, like you're asking somebody for them to respond. If they don't respond right away, then just rephrase the question. Why are you here? There's many things you can activate that, but asking questions is very powerful.
May I mention something? I did the meditation with you last Friday, because Tammy mentioned it to me, and I went to the wall, but not quite. But what I saw, I put myself between the two atoms, like you mentioned, with energy. I did that. When I went on the other side, it was like big garden up to the sky, left, right, bottom, gigantic flower, any color that you can imagine in it. And I was looking at it, looking up, and out. I see was flower. What I felt at that time, it was like my dad used to love gardening, and I thought that was his garden in heaven that I saw. That's why you can imagine who's coming there right now. Yeah, that's my dad. I don't think I can think of, and I'm missing a lot. And since it will be 24th of March is the anniversary that he's dead, so I'm not surprised that it's showing up right now. So thank you very much for explaining it to me and taking the time. I'm grateful.
It's great lessons for all of us today. Thank you. Anne, did you have a question?
I just wanted to say that I got the violet color, and I sort of dove into it, like you mentioned, until you mentioned the throat. And then I saw the blue. I felt the energy in my head and in my throat. I didn't much get the other colors too much. But then my husband's mother, who's passed away, came in. She's the one who lived on this Marco Island before we bought a place. I mean, she didn't live here, but she came here in the winter. So this is how we found this island. And she used to, walk the beach and do all the things, that I'm doing now. And while we were meditating, she popped in, and I said hello. But anyway, I just wondered about that.
So your question is what? I wasn't sure what was the question in there.
Did she? I mean, we didn't really have a conversation, so I'm just wondering, was there something she came to tell me, or she just?
Yes.
Yeah.
But sorry, Tony, to interrupt. Shouldn't she get that answer? Could she not sit and ask that question to her mother-in-law and get her own answer?
Absolutely, and that's what I was going to say. Yeah, it's just go back and just ask her. Yeah.
Well, thanks, Lily.
Oh, you know me, Anne. I'm going to call you to task.
Yeah, they worked.
I love you guys.
Love you too.
But all those answers are there, and when you go to revisit them, you'll be able to go into another realm and it's endless, and it's amazing what. Like I always say, I'm never surprised when I hear and see incredible things. I'm always amazed, but I'm never surprised. And so this way it keeps you in this very loose form where you're always, looking for that other answer. Because even at whatever stage you're at, you're going to have things happening in your life. People are going to come and go in your life. And it's just the past that we want to sort of clear as much as we can. I incorporated the tuning forks with the latest work that I've done on Ho'oponopono. It's a Hawaiian chant, and I added some music, and I think it's the best work Spirit has done through me so far. You know, it's I will play this to a person who has PTSD, and they'll start to see colors, and it's just amazing. And it's like it's incredible how the forks can really do it. It's just one tool, but there are many tools. But as long as you're using something, you know, just start off with tuning, singing bowls, or with your hands, or Reiki, or anything. As long as we can get into this, this realm in some way where it'll help us. They're not tools that we need to make it happen. It's tools that'll help you find your own other tool that's within you. So we need human tools to get to our spiritual tools sometimes, you know.
Exactly. You know, some of us in this group, not most of us, are following Haidai's work now with this energy calendar. So it's interesting when we take these tools, so we have an idea of, and then I would ask Haidai to possibly then enhance this. But if I'm having quote unquote a white day, and I'm thinking my energy is just not up, then all I have to do hopefully is perhaps take some of I do have a few of but I don't know how to use them, the tuning forks. And then with your help, learn how, okay, what's really off and how can I attune to that? Haidai, do you want to address that with some of the things that we're doing? And you may also have questions for Tony.
Yeah, I apologize that I came late, but I think I set my alarm clock in, so I did show up on the hour, but I think I came late, so I apologize.
We're just glad you're here.
Yeah, I was very interested in Tony's work based on, I do a lot of consulting for a lot of different modalities of wellness because of a cosmic calendar that we use here in Bali to help really energize the biggest force, which is is another form of transit calendar, specifically for the sun, moon, and the earth, that the Balinese been using for thousands of years. And before that, back in the early days of Sanskrit, where it was one of the six teaching of the Veda to achieve eternal moksha, which is eternal happiness. So the resonance of this transit and elective, which is sacred calendar, more used for high priests and for offering and ceremony, was created to focus energy. And so there's many ways that we can use a shift of energy, especially on a white day. And I agree with Tony, is that the best way is to return to the highest modality that we have within, so I mainly use a lot of breath work, a lot of water, because we have access to it very easily, even just certain habitual process, everyday habitual process, from posture to tonal of the way maybe I hear a lot of this asking question, even just changing the way you ask the question and the sound of your voice can kind of have an energetic exchange that is different in dynamics that can shift these energetics. So yeah, we just got done with a 4-day workshop for Tantra where they used the calendar and all the modality of Tantra and to shift the day, to shift the curriculum or the modalities. And yeah, it's all energy. So however you use it, it's to connect to that energetic. So I hope to see some of your recording and then share some of my response in your modalities and see how we could help exchange, because I think the tuning fork is a very small tool that it's also very accessible and very dynamic. So I look forward to seeing and hearing more of that. So thank you for having me.
Thank you, Haidai. It's always a pleasure. Anyone else have a burning desire for another question? Something regarding anything about what Tony is talking about, perhaps the energy of the day, how you can shift it. Or Tony, perhaps you have something you'd like
Well,
to
actually,
add.
I really appreciated Haidai's remark about just using anything that we can, whether the calendar or anything, because it all goes to the same place. It all goes to the same ocean of light.
Yes.
And it's just a different way that we resonate to it. So some will resonate to sound, some will love water and then turn water into that energy, and then they put it on themselves, and it's like that holy water. Some will use earth, some will use there's many ways, and it all going to the same place. So that's the beauty of it. I mean, it's you can't go wrong. At the moment you do anything that gets you out of your human perspective and see things in a wider scope, we start to see and get different answers. And that's the thing. But I think as long as you're searching, I mean, someone that's going to be, I have not heard about the calendar Haidai. I am very intrigued in learning more about that. So I maybe we should connect, or if you have your website or something, I'd like to read up on this calendar that I'm being pointed to now. But it's another ancient modality that's been used, that has helped people in Bali and others that are doing that. And that's the thing. It's just finding whatever it is that works for you.
Yes, and what I love about the group with the Breakfast with Soul, we keep growing, and we're using all these different modalities that our teachers that we invite come in, and we take what we need and we leave the rest. So
Yes.
I know one of our guests in the next couple of months will be teaching us about stones and wearing them and what that energy does to us. So there's just different tools, and I'm so grateful that we are all, as human beings, open to be able to live a symbolic life through what we're given, instead of taking everything literal. Oh, this is just a fork. What am I going to do with this? Oh, this is just a stone. What is this for? Oh, that's just a day of the week. What am I going to do with that? But that's literal. But when we step outside and just release and let symbolism, the spirit of symbolism, come to us, it's beautiful to see the dance that we create in unity together.
And I think what a lot of people where they find it difficult is that, how does this solve my problem in my real life? I still need to buy food. I still need to pay my mortgage. How can I attract more resources? How can I attract a soulmate that will respect me? And these are real question that people are going through. Yes, it's great to be spiritual, but what Spirit says a lot of times is that a lot of times we are spiritual part-time. Many get spiritual when we do that meditation in the morning, and some will only meditate once a week, some will do it twice a week, some will do it every day, whatever your thing is. But are you only spiritual in that 15 minutes or 10 minutes or 20 minutes, whatever it is, and then the rest of it you're pretty much human? Because when you can connect even on a daily, so you're almost like more full-time of a spirit person, it will help you in your existence here. Because a lot of times our mind kicks in, oh, but what about this? And there's so many distractions in our life, especially sound. There are sounds that we hear now that were not present 100 years ago or 1,000 years ago. In the time where these type of tuning forks sounds were around, the Om and so on, people believed in gods and spirit, and we see that in myth all over, from the Romans, and they were very much connected to spirit that way. As we become more civilized, as we called it, we moved away in thinking that we have the answer, and then it's just the part-time part. So the question is, how can we become more spiritual, but yet we can still attract all our physical human needs? And I think that's really sometimes the question.
Well, I always like to say that if you are in spiritual debt, you're always going to be in emotional debt.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can't separate the two. So
Yes.
your finances are always, my finances, personally speaking, will always reflect the energy that I have, that I'm in.
Mhm.
The spirit. So it's a dichotomy because of myself, I'm nothing. With spirit, I'm everything. And when I am just for today, living in the spirit of what is and looking at my life symbolically, believe it or not, my bank account changes. I cannot separate my energy from my bank account. Like when people say, yeah, that's fine, that's spirituality, but I still pay $6 for bread. That's the reality. But for me to get out there and buy that, purchase that $6 for that gluten-free bread, I have this process of looking at my life energetically, symbolically first, is coming from here to here. Again, all heart-based. And really, you know, Tony, Haidai knows, Rondi knows, we all know here that that's the whole key. That's the Holy Grail, is living from the heart.
Yes.
Right? To embody the collective, all of us as a whole, and then helping ourselves first so that we can help others and to serve humanity as the best way we can.
Absolutely.
And, you know, we all make mistakes. God, we're human, but it's always just for today. In fact, most days I'm just for this hour. And we're all learning how to do that.
Yes, it is that balance.
Yeah.
And when we're looking at why we are at a certain place, we can usually go back and find a time, like if your parents always argued about money, there was never enough to pay, then the energy of money is painful. It's something you don't want to get around. I heard from a client just the other day. He says, I hate money. I just hate it because there's always an issue and there's always something in my way to get my dreams, and money is the crux. I said, no, it's not the money that's the problem. Money is an energy that just flows. You just don't have a good relationship with it, which is why it's not coming around very often.
Yeah.
You know, so you've got to build that relationship that it just flows. The Japanese have a beautiful saying, and it's called arigato, and it's a money in, money out, and it's all about a flow, about a gratitude, about things coming in and out. And of the 12,000 millionaires that they interviewed, all of them used this arigato part in that made them wealthy. And it's the crux of money flowing in, money flowing out. So when you spend it, you know, thank you for being with me. When it comes in, hey, thank you for returning. So there's this beautiful flow of resources, and that goes with also love. If you're having a hard time finding somebody, it's that flow. If you don't want to go out with somebody because you've had a bad experience, but this is a new person, why are we taking that toxic energy and now taking it to someone else that spirit has sent you, and you're already cynical in the beginning? So it is about a relationship, and it's an experience. And when you have a good relationship with anything, it wants to come around more. You know, if I'm welcome in your home, I want to go there more often. But if I feel I'm imposing, or it's not something that, oh, I'm overstaying my welcome, it'll be short, or I won't come around. You know, like you have to feel welcome, and money feels that, and love feels that. It's amazing when you are more spiritual, as you said, that your whole life changes. You know.
Yeah. Anybody else want to add to this today or have another question? Rondi, I see you getting ready.
So if anybody,
okay, sorry, Rondi.
I've done some.
I think Sandy has a question, I think.
Yeah, we'll go to Rondi first. Sandy, we'll come to you
Rondi.
after. Rondi, go ahead. Sorry, Sandy. Thanks.
Who's first?
You go.
Okay. David Hawkins has a vibrational scale.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the one that you're using, Tony?
They're all about vibration. So yes, it's all part of that, and different vibrations connect to body in a different way. Yes, absolutely. And as long as we're using anything like that, those sacred frequencies, your body will always prosper. It's the sirens and all the noise that the body doesn't react well to. and the anger, the vibration of anger, and their depression has a vibration, and all of that. If we're more in that area, then it's harder. But yes, the David Hawkins, a lot of those vibrations are ancestral, and and it's all math. It's mathematical precision. It's the same thing.
Well, I'm a firm believer that love is the only thing that can nullify hate. And so with all the bad news that we've been in the last 2 years, but especially recently, what I try to do when I hear it, because it's very painful, is to lift it up in prayer, lifting it up so that the vibration of what's going on there will improve, will get higher. That's what I'm doing. I'm not sure how accomplishing that is or not, but to me, that's what I can do on an individual
Are
level.
you saying that you send love in that area, or you take
Correct.
the hate in and convert it?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch the last part.
Do you take hate in and convert it, or do you send out love?
I'm not taking it in, I'm just sending it out.
Okay, all right.
Because taking it in was just going to bring me down. I don't want to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
So what I do when I listen to the news or when I'm thinking about it, I just lift it up to the higher realms, because I, as an individual, can't go and fight that war. I can't change what's happening to the world with the pandemic. I can't change what's happening to my sister, to my brother. I can support them. I can love them and send them love at all times.
And that does a lot. Believe it or not, there's a high impact in sending love of light in that way. And that is the best way to do it. Because you see, low energy has a very low impact too. If you could take 100 negative people, but if you put one person who's high energy, it will convert 100 people. Easy. And I've seen it done. One person comes in and this gloomy party livens up because of this light. So it does happen. So love is very, very powerful. So when you're sending that, it's more powerful than you think. And it does make an impact. Yes.
Okay. Thank you for adding to that. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And Tony, don't you find the love is even the greatest when we're in our demise? You know, like I always say, find peace in chaos. I mean, isn't that the Holy Grail? Is finding that love amongst all the hate. Feeling it anyway. Just being with it. Sandy, you had a question. It's so good to see you.
Good to see you. Swastiastu. Thank you so much for your time. And in the post of all, always thank you so much for the God, because Him give us good healthy, and then meet with all of you each other. Okay, that is. Yes, please.
Sandy, that brings up a really good point before we get ready to close. Each and every one of us is a tuning fork.
Yeah.
Right. And your sound of your vibration and your voice, Heidi's, Jacqueline's, Rondi's, Tony's, mine, each and every one of us, we're tuning each other. Even with just not just, but with our throat chakra and our presence. So it's a really good point, Sandy. Thank you for that. Yeah. We are the forks today. And Tony.
There's an interesting part about that, is that if you keep your feet together and you put your hands up, and you become a tuning fork.
That's right.
And where most people will heal from their hands, and that's at the end of the fork, and that's where the sound usually will come out of an instrument like that. So we are human tuning forks, yes. And I just wanted to add that. And it's all in the 528. It's all about love. 528 is a vibration of love, and that's our most dominant universal frequency that we vibrate from. We take love, and when we segment it and bring it into smaller parts, then we get the throat chakra and all of the segmented part. But basically it's white. White turns into every other color, it engulfs everything.
Tony, we are so honored you're here, and we have absorbed every molecule of everything you said today, and let the spirit of you and your words and your teachings have us. Before we leave today, is there anything you would like to add to this?
Well, it was just my pleasure, because when I got the invitation, Spirit was so, they were having a party. They like they won the lottery, because there were going to be more souls connected to different parts of the world that'll get something from this. And
Yes.
even if you only remember that, the meditation, if you saw the yellow, or if you saw different colors, or there was some word or phrase given that said, oh, I didn't know that. And it's a further extension of getting more answers from a spirit realm. And that just energizes us to, gee, how much further can we go? And to keep going in that direction, as long as we are asking, then when we can do it. I posted some of the links that I do, because I've done very well over the last few years. I now do a Friday 1:30 Eastern Standard Time 1 hour unplug, and I use tuning forks as part of that, and we talk about different subjects every week. Like you to come to that, or send someone who's really down or depressed or needing help. It's just been a real. I was only supposed to do this for like a month when I started this a year ago, and it just keeps going. And so I just love the momentum that the Spirit puts me at, and I don't question. Sometimes I'll say, really, I keep going, okay, and I follow. Because when I didn't follow, it didn't always turn out very well, because your human mind's kicking in. But if nothing else, if this has brought you to a point where, how can we live spirit and live in this human part at this time? Because it is so important that we find a way. Because we are always spirit. Even when we go back to the light, we're still spirit. We're spirit inside. This is an extension. This is like the white cap on a wave. If you look at the ocean, where there's a wave and then it turns white at the top, well, that's you. And look at all the force underneath you pushing you. So it's not just you. You got to realize that you're being pushed, and there's a momentum of your past and the ancestors and everything that is moving you forward to see what else can we expand upon, to either bring love to yourself or bring love to the people around you, so that you can change your corner of the world.
Beautifully said. And with that, I have when we close, I have the planet here in my hand. And I thought it would be good for us to close. With prayers for what's happening on our planet in the Ukraine. And so, Tony, if you could show us how we are forks, we can attune each other, ourselves, with the planet. And what I'd like to do, I'm sorry if I put you on the spot. And Yvonne, I want to say thank you, Yvonne and Christine, for coming in for the first time today. We're so grateful that you're here, and we hope that you will join us again another day. You can just let me know through Messenger, and I can add you to the Breakfast with Soul group. Again, there's no fees for this. There's no you, me, it's us. Everyone is welcome. So what we like, usually when we end, we have one word that we like to bring out into the world. But today, this is about Ukraine and our brothers and sisters in the Ukraine. So just attune yourself. We are the living light, the forks that are bringing in the energies of healing, acceptance, strength, and courage to our brothers and sisters. So if you could all unmute, and I'm going to start with Sylvie to give us the word that she, and then each of you will have a word, and then all those one word each brings and unites the prayer for Ukraine. So we ask Spirit as our blessings, as we attune ourselves to Ukraine, that we offer today. Sylvie, what would your word be for Ukraine today, darling?
Darling, what's coming out is only peace.
Thank you.
Nothing else coming out.
That's a big one. Pat?
Love.
Love. Suzanne, if you could unmute, darling.
Resiliency.
Resiliency. Beautiful. Kelly.
Peace.
Peace. Tammy. You can work at unmuting, Tammy, and I'll go to Tony next. Tony, what would your word be?
Was getting something from that John Lennon was sort of talking to me about. Give peace a chance.
Give peace. Beautiful.
And
Tammy.
that's one of the songs.
Well, I was
Thank
going
you.
to say it was also resilience.
Resilience. Louise.
Um,
Home. Oh. Linda Toner. Can you unmute, my love? We'll come back to you after you figure out how to unmute. Susan, what would your word be?
Love.
Love. Yvonne.
Strength.
Strength. And
Thriving.
excuse me, I didn't hear.
Thriving.
Thriving. Yes. Christine.
Joy.
Joy. Rondi.
Hope.
Hope. We'll go back to Linda.
Pray for the most benevolent result.
Benevolent results. Yes, Conrad, would you like to share one, hon? So good
Sure,
to see you.
gratefulness.
Gratefulness. Sandy.
Bless.
Rest. Jacqueline.
Mother love.
More than love. And Hi-Di.
Presence.
Oh, may we all be present in love and hope, tranquility, as we bring and stand guard with our friends in the Ukraine and all over the world, and especially those that are next to them in Romania, Poland, that are of such service today. In God's name, amen. And whoever's bird is saying yes, we are so happy you are here. So my love, that ends our morning. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being here.
Santi, Santi, Santi Om.
Let's see.
So I'll see you online. And we're going to see Hi-Di again next Thursday. And Tony, if you want to join us next Thursday, you're more than welcome. I'll send you the information.
Oh, that'd be great.
Babe, gorgeous.
Great. Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, send me an invitation. I'd love to come in again. It'd be awesome.
Thank
Well,
you.
he'd have to contact Hi-Di to figure out which group he's in, which calendar.
Yes, we'll get his information. And thank you, Hi-Di, for setting Jacqueline so quickly.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you,
Great.
Tony.
So is
Okay,
everybody
well-
feeling
Thank you.
okay leaving this morning? Is there anything else before I do close up that you want to? I don't want to leave anybody, or listen, that's my control issues. If you have anything you would like to share, now is the time. Louise, you're laughing at my
Lily,
control
thanks,
issues.
Tony.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you, Lily. Thank you,
You're welcome,
everyone.
darling. Bye.
Okay.
Nice
Take
to
care.
see everybody.
Love you
Thank you.
all.
Take care.
Take
Okay.
Have
care.
a nice
Thanks a lot, Lily, again.
Oh, Tony, you are great. I'm so grateful to have gotten to know you better.
Yeah. That's
Thank
awesome.
you. And thank you, Susan, for looking after everything for me as a co-host. So great not to have to worry about that stuff. Yes, and the Toners, we're so grateful to see you again.
Thank you.
Oh, you did a great job, Lil.
Oh, thank you, darling. It's you guys that make it. You guys that make it. And Kelly, make sure you keep joining us. We're always learning something. Okay, my loves. Okay,
Take care.
Tony, we'll see you all online. I'm
Okay.
closing out
Bye-bye
now.
now. Bye.
Bye.